On this episode of ResiWeek, AllNet is acquired by Snap AV. We take a look at making sure that your power is fully protected and remote support through augmented reality. All that and more next on ResiWeek.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is ResiWeek, episode 112, recorded Monday, March 26, 2018. Remote service.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by Middle Atlantic, what great systems are built on, and by Utalogy.
This is ResiWeek, the weekly look at the residential audiovisual space. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host, in for the oddly vacationing Matt Scott. So you guys be nice to me. This is the first time I've ever done this. So with us to talk about the news for the residential space, first and foremost, buddy and pal and fellow Midwesterner, Mr. Jeremy Glowacki from Residential Systems. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for having me again. And Matt, he is an odd guy. So oddly.
Yeah. He's like, hey, I'm not going to be here Monday. Oh, okay then.
Oh, that was just dropped on you.
No, I say that. I'm just he let me know pretty
okay,
much in advance.
That's
so.
good.
Also with us from the great state of Georgia, he is from Atlanta. His name is Ken Ingle. How are you, sir?
I am wonderful, Tim. It's exciting to be back with you guys. I've talked with Matt the past couple times, so it's exciting to have you in the chair today.
Yeah, it's something. we'll see what I can't screw up here. All right, guys. First story here actually comes to us from Residential Systems. AllNet is getting acquired by Snap AV, quote unquote, to better serve the Midwest dealers for Snap AV. Real quickly, if you're not familiar with what AllNet is a distributor based in the Midwest. They have 4 offices, regional offices. Snap AV picked them up. According to the story from Jeremy's story, they're keeping most of the folks in place from AllNet, but this is kind of a Snap AV's push into further regionalizing themselves and to further expanding their territories. Jeremy, we'll start with you on this. What does this mean for Snap AV and honestly for the AllNet dealers?
Well, with Snap AV, legitimately, they did not have any warehousing in the Midwest, apparently. So this really does give them immediate inventory opportunities that are more real-time, pickup options for dealers. They already have staff in those areas. So instead of having to go build a warehouse or set up a warehouse or inventory facility, and then staff it, they are buying these 4 locations already in operation. I do happen to know the AllNet location right in my backyard here. It's about 10 minutes away from me. So I've been to that several times for different touring vendors coming to town talking about something. And so that will, those particular locations in Chicago, I don't have it in front of me, the Indy/Carmel location, was it Michigan?
Milwaukee as well, and Minnesota, right?
I knew there were M's there, and they will be called AllNet, and they will mostly remain the same. There are some questions about brands that don't want to be associated with Snap that we don't know what those will be yet. I tried to get Wally Winna to maybe reveal some of that. He said there are some changes coming along, but not a lot. But it is obviously a good opportunity for him to make a little bit of money by selling the operation. He's done this once before with the Avid Ingram Micro acquisition. They purchased him, and he was an employee for a while. And then when things kind of started going south with the economy, Avid tightened up its locations, and he came back with this one. He is going to leave the Catalyst Group, which is a collective of distributors. He was on the board there for a while. He's no longer on the board, and then they're no longer going to be a member because those are all independent, operators. That's the biggest change, I think, for him. But 96% of his sales volume will remain the same in terms of the vendors, he said. So it's not a huge change for him. For Snap, it's just more presence in the market, and he will be carrying the Snap line, obviously. And also, oddly, he'll be carrying Catalyst branded line too, because they did a kind of a white label as well for things like mounts that they wanted to have. It was almost like a Snap line. So they were competing against Snap.
So how is that? How is that going to work then?
That I don't have enough depth on yet. He didn't just mention it to me today, so I need to follow up with him on how that works. But they did have the need to fill in some missing lines of some things that the dealers wanted to be able to price how they wanted to price them and not be shopped at retail by a more mainstream video mount, for instance, or something. So they wanted the white label products, and so they did what Snap did and had some stuff manufactured and put their own logo on it. And those will be still in his inventory, apparently, along with Snap.
Ken, from a manufacturer standpoint, what do acquisitions like this do for your distribution and your footprint when it comes to not just the Midwest, obviously, but you guys you're more global in reach. So does this impact you guys in any way?
I got to be honest, we're pretty excited about it. We know both these brands intimately. AllNet has been distributing Atlona for years. They're one of our top distributors, so they've done an amazing job in the Midwest. Wally and his team are top notch. And a few years ago, we started up a relationship with Snap, carrying a handful of our products that better rounded out their offering. And Snap has been a partner of Atlona. So I think that this is a good thing. It offers more of our product to more people in a way that maybe they couldn't get access to it before. So we see this as very positive. Both brands do a tremendous job with representing their product, with representing their dealers and taking care of them. And they work great with us, with the manufacturer too. So I see all upside to this right now.
Well, that actually is a key point, Ken, is working well with the manufacturer. When it comes to, not only training their employees, but also getting that down to the dealer level. Is that something where you work with them, or you go straight to the dealer and then point them back to, now pointing back to Snap AV?
So we do a little bit of both. To be honest, both AllNet and Snap AV have access to our Atlona training portal. In fact, AllNet was our very first partner to go through our complete training program and become certified as an Atlona distribution partner. They did an amazing job with it, and it did great things for their sales volume. When Snap came on board, they did the same thing, both brands being very committed to education and to learning the product, not just from a sales standpoint, but right down to their technical staff. Snap AV, for example, they've got their own technicians who sit on the phone. They've got a great call center there. All of their technicians go through the Atlona certification program and get certified on our products. So they're ready to support their customers. And then we still work directly with the end customer who buys the Atlona products. You can come back into our education portal and take our courses, or you can go through either AllNet or Snap, because they are certified training centers for us as well.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that we don't quite know yet, is how that education piece is going to kind of flesh out over the next couple of months.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm confident either way, whether it becomes kind of driven by Snap or AllNet does their own thing. Either way, both of those companies have participated so deeply in education and have made it part of their routine that I know they're going to come out ahead either way.
Mm-hmm.
What's kind of interesting about this too, I think this is correct, and correct me if I might be wrong here, that Snap doesn't offer any will call at their other locations, but Wally and his group with AllNet, they do. So you can.
So is that going to change, or is that will call?
No, he's going to continue to do that.
Okay.
So, and also shipping 1 to 2 day delivery. He said so. I saw their will call. I mean, it's not. It's one of these things where it's a key code kind of thing where you just pick it up in a storage room, but still, it's a great opportunity for guys off hours to be able to pick up some inventory that they need for a job tomorrow.
Well, and there are a number of other distributors who have warehouses, local warehouses, where you can do a sort of a keyed locker, right? Where you type it in, you can come by and swing by whenever, as long as you've got that code, you can open up the locker. So.
Yeah.
All right. Next story up is from CE Pro, and God love them. They are based in Massachusetts, so they felt the brunt of four nor'easters now. But Julie Jacobson writes about the folks at Creative Systems have put together some pretty impressive surge protection monitoring systems, power regulators, and backup generators. And it's a very poignant story. It's a very topical story. And so I want to kind of get into this with you guys. And Ken, I want to start with you. When you guys are talking with your customers, your clients, so the integrators that are putting in at Lona products, what sort of steps are you taking to making sure that there are some sort of power protections, I guess is the best way to put this, because not just nor'easters where you're going to lose power, but in the Midwest here, at least in St. Louis, we are notorious for having what I refer to as dirty power. And that's not a term that I coined. It's something that an electrician friend of mine, who's a local IBEW member, gave me a number of years ago, where the power's not out, it's just not there, and there's all kinds of noise on it. And so you put in, conditioners and stuff like that to make sure that the equipment's just not being affected.
Yeah, first of all, I love this article, and it's what timing. It came out just in the perfect timing here, right? Well, I'm from Detroit, and like where you're from, there's a lot of dirty power there too, right? And I had a custom installation shop up there for 7 years, and we did all kinds of high-end residential and worked with brands like Panamax back then, and I love their product. They do a great job. And now even at Lona, obviously, we're selling a lot of intense core system products here, like matrix switchers, where you want to make sure this equipment's protected, not only protected, but it's got to be on a quality power source as well. So some of the things that we've done, we've built an education program called the Lona Academy, that's free to our customers who can go through, and they're going to learn a lot about signal integrity and what happens to that signal, and what happens to and how power affects that signal when they go through our courses. So it's in our best interest to make sure they have a good experience with our product. And brands like Panamax and Furman are the brands that can help do that for sure. We also have taken steps to implement sales engineering and system design services free to our customers. So if you're building a system and you have questions about power, or you're in an area that has frequent power outages or dirty power, and you would like to have an engineer take a look at that design with you and go through the products that are best to specify in, we offer that service for free to our customers. You can sit down with one of our team, go through that engineering service, and we'll consult with you on that and even deliver back drawings and help you research some of those other brands to find what's right for you there. And we try to network with brands like Panix and Furman and keep in touch with those guys, and hopefully maybe even see some collaborative webinars or something in the future, maybe, where we can talk a little bit about that.
Well, see, that actually is very not just unique, but also incredibly helpful, because you're not selling their product, right? You're just saying, hey, look, if you want our stuff to work properly, here are some ways that you can do that.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, this is a big industry. I mean, we're certainly not competitors. These are complementary brands.
Yep.
We should be teaming up on those and helping our customers have a better experience. So we all win. The industry wins.
Yeah. Jeremy, in the article, they made reference to something called multi-layered protection. When you're out and about and talking with dealers, is this something that they're already aware of and they're putting into place, or is this a new concept of making sure that the equipment is safe electrically wise?
Well, I think part of what's going on here is the remote monitoring portion of it. So,
Okay.
You've got some pieces that are protecting the gear, but then there's also the opportunity to know as the integrator that there was an issue of some sort, the power is out, or there's been a surge or something, and they can check in on how the gear is getting back online. And so I think that's part of what was going on, and I think is a great service if you're an integrator to be able to offer that, because a lot of things, when you've got the IT centric equipment and the system gets hit by any kind of glitch in the electricity, things don't necessarily go back online the same way and are in the right order. And so it's great if you've got a design to be able to do that with a reset, whether it's working through with the homeowner or doing a truck roll. It's better to do it remotely if you can. And so I think that was part of what this was. And I think the fact that this particular dealer was monitoring all of these outages, knew exactly what all of his clients were going through and following up with them in a fair amount of time. And it seems like the last piece was, of course, the service provider for the Comcast, I think, was the one that was still out, but get most of the other stuff up and running would be good. I think that's one of the pieces of my kludged together system that I have over the years with the different vendors I've worked with, is the power management just hasn't been, I've overlooked that. And I do have these little gremlins that I just wrote about in an article that creep in every so often, and I have to reset things. And I've pretty much got the network I need. I've got a pretty good AV gear, and every now and then things just are offline overnight. And I see something I've got one device that's a SmartThings device, a Samsung SmartThings device. It's the water sensor in the utility room, and it goes offline. And I'm pretty sure that was a surge or something in the system. I've just got to figure it out. Not that I'm so important of a story here, but it's just, it woke me up to the fact that there's a layer there that gets forgotten. I know that good integrators don't forget that layer, and they have redundancy.
Well, and here's the interesting thing, right? So I typically host AV Week, which is our commercial AV weekly show. This story, what you're talking about, it actually ties in really well with a story, a story we did on Friday of AV Week, talking about managed services, right? And how at least it seems, and you two can chime in on this if I'm off base here, it seems that in the residential part of the audiovisual industry, they get managed services far and above better than the commercial does a lot of times. I don't know if it's the fact that they are needing to handhold their clients, or they need to, make sure that just everything is up and running, or if their clients are more high maintenance or whatever. But that group of AV professionals seem to get the managed services part a lot more than commercial does. Am I wrong in that?
No, I think you're kind of right about that. I mean, we sell products into both residential and commercial spaces, and I see something very similar. The residential side, a lot of homeowners, they've all got one of these things right here. We love that we can take this with us, see what's going on around the home, and you like that connected feeling back to your house. Commercial, you're not necessarily looking to connect back into the office so much, but where we do see it is in the IT staff. So if we're working with an IT manager in a corporate application, that guy or that lady is interested in the managed services and what's going on, because they're managing their facility 24/7. But just your general customer may not have quite the same connection to it.
No. All right. This actually leads us into our very next story. Comes to us from AVNation, talking about One Vision Resources. And they have developed an augmented reality remote tech support. And before I get into this, I'm just going to say, I don't know why on earth it took somebody this long to do this. So the photo that they sent us for the press release has got a tech in the field, and she has her phone holding up to a device. Happens to be a wireless access point, but it allows the folks at One Vision to see what the integrator is seeing, quote unquote. Jeremy, is this something that will take off, or is this too futuristic and too sci-fi?
No, I think it's not as. When you talk augmented reality, it starts to sound really kind of like that's a fancy word for being able. I'll tell you what exactly that means, because I talked to Joey Kolczynski about this, the founder of One Vision. Because at first I thought, whoa, what's going on here? This is kind of sci-fi. But what he's talking about is actually being able to point out things on a mobile device to the customer. So you have a service issue. There's an indication that goes to his group, which is 24/7 monitoring of integrators' work, right? So he's trying to keep the truck rolls from happening from the dealers, and from them getting the calls in the middle of dinner with their families. They're kind of the offloaded service group for these different integrators that sign up for the service. And so when they're working through the triage on what the problem is, it's often a reset of some sort that needs to take place. And at the beginning of their company, they would talk to this homeowner who would do something with the app, say I'm offline, or they tell them that they're offline. Now they need someone on the ground to actually go push a button, and they say, okay, go to your rack. That's the thing in your basement, or that's the thing in this room over there by your theater. and you need to go to, let's say it's the Panamax device or whatever it is, they're not going to know what that is, or they don't know which one or whatever. So he'll say, let's hold up your phone to the device or to that rack, and he can take a picture of it remotely, or they can, his service team. So they're remoting in, and then they can actually circle the item on there, so the homeowner can look at their phone and say, oh, it's that one, I see it right in front of me, because they've taken a little drawing tool. And that's the augmented reality, I think, for the most part. It's not like you've got little guys animation jumping around on there or anything like that, but it just enables them to have a more multimedia back and forth to quickly get to the root of the problem and solve it by a quick button push or reset of some sort. That's what I understand.
Ken, I want to bring you in this from a manufacturer standpoint, and I'm going to put my former tech manager and my former AV designer hat on for a second. One of the joys, and I'll say that quote unquote, somewhat snarky, about doing installs and about putting equipment in, is calling tech support and trying to explain to them a problem that you're having, and them going, okay, well, what about this? And I'm like, no, it's it's this cable, it's this connector. What about that? And trying to auditorily, orally explain something that is incredibly visual. Is this system, or maybe something like it, right? Maybe not necessarily you using using OneVision's piece, but something like it. Is this something where you guys as a manufacturer can put into place and go, okay, hold up your phone, and I don't know if it's as simple as FaceTime, but with that you're assuming everybody has an iPhone, so something else it's a little bit more agnostic that says you can just call this number and bring it up, and you can show us what you got.
From a homeowner and end user standpoint, I'm not sure. I think some of them could be beneficial.
Well, I'm talking about integrators.
But from an integrator standpoint, I love it. If my integrator can stand there in the field with his phone, having an issue with one of our products, and we can take a look at it, I love that idea. I can't tell you how many calls we've had where we've spent hours troubleshooting on the phone, only to finally get to a point where we said, okay, you know what, on my dime, I'm going to send an engineer out to that job site next Tuesday with you, and we'll go through the whole thing. And, because the proof of burden is on my staff to prove that it is or isn't our product that's causing the problem. And we get out there almost, 99% of the time to find out it's because somebody had a pin out wrong or connected the wrong control cable to the wrong port, and said they went through and they did everything, it's plugged into the right place, and they didn't do that quite right. And it's just something subtle, but that causes the slight glitch that makes the system freak out at random intervals, and nobody knows why. If we could see that with augmented reality, I'd take it right now. That would be great.
Yeah.
I'd also take it in my house, because I can't tell you how many times I'm on the road and my wife calls because.
Well, yeah, that's a whole other use case.
What keyboard looks like again.
That's the only time your system ever goes down, isn't it? It's when you're on the road.
It's when you're on the road.
And the thing about this is it's not something that OneVision invented. They have been doing all the research that they can to service tools that are available. So this is from the broader service community that they've been able to implement into their operation. So I think it's available pretty widely. I don't know the vendor's name, but so this might be something you start seeing more often from manufacturers to do direct work with their dealers.
But my favorite story I've ever heard from a manufacturer and field work, like Ken was alluding to, was the field tech who went out, and the report he wrote had one sentence on it. Walked into the back of the rack, reinstituted Edison plug, and left.
Edison plug.
Yeah. So basically, they forgot to plug the sucker in, and they spent hours, and they flew somebody halfway across the country to plug in power. So, yeah.
Yep. Those are the ones.
Those are the ones that make you lose your hair, kids. All right. That's going to do it for us. Thank you so much, Mr. Ken Eagle. I appreciate your time, sir. Thanks for joining us.
You bet. Thank you for having me.
How do people find you or at Lona?
You can find us online at lona.com, and you can reach me at keneagle@lona.com.
All right, very good. Mr. Kowalski, I appreciate it as always, sir. How do people find you or Residential Systems?
Residentialsystems.com, and please subscribe to our newsletter. And if you want to find me on Twitter, it's at ResiSys, SYS.
All right, very good. My name is Tim Albright. Don't follow me on the Twitters because I will be complaining about the Blues unless they do something really quickly in the next week. But go by the website, if you would, please, AVNation.tv. AVNation.tv, you will find this program and a host of others. While you're there, please check out our underwriter section. These are the folks that help us financially and help us do things like this program. Help us head to Digital Signage Expo, which we'll be doing this week, and InfoComm in about 2 months from now. So all that and more at avnation.tv, avnation.tv.